The first time I saw her, I thought she was just another curious bystander. The Princess of Varelia, the most enigmatic and reclusive royal in the galaxy, had slipped into the crowded market incognito, as she often did. I was browsing a stall filled with glowing, levitating trinkets, hoping to find a gift for my younger sister, when I noticed her. Her presence wasn't loud or ostentatious, but there was a gravity about her. People moved around her almost instinctively, parting like water around a rock. She had eyes like molten silver and hair that shimmered with streaks of violet, yet she wore a simple tunic and cloak. No one paid her much mind, not even the guards who usually flanked her every public appearance. I thought it was just chance that she stopped at the stall next to mine. She inspected the items casually, but there was an intensity in her gaze that suggested she was looking for something beyond the trinkets. When she turned to leave, our eyes met. And for reasons I couldn't explain, she lingered. "Do you know the history of these pieces?" she asked, her voice soft, almost hesitant. I smiled, trying to sound confident even though I didn't know half of what I was about to say. "Some are from the old colonies, some are recent inventions. The levitating ones were first made on Arden 9 using a hybrid graviton field. They're expensive, but functional." Her lips curved in a faint smile. "You know your stuff. Not many ordinary people do." I laughed, brushing off the compliment. "I'm not extraordinary, I promise. Just observant." She tilted her head, studying me, and that's when I noticed her frown deepen slightly. Then she did something that made my stomach twist. She glanced at my back. I froze. For a moment, I wondered if she had seen a scar, a birthmark, anything that would make her pause. But then she stepped closer, her hand hovering over my shoulder as if pulled by an invisible thread. And then, ever so gently, she touched the space between my shoulder blades. I felt a chill. I knew the mark she was looking at, but I had spent my entire life hiding it. The Royal Seal of Varelia, an intricate symbol etched into my skin at birth, invisible to most, detectable only by those with royal sight. It marked me as someone descended from the lost line of kings, a lineage thought extinct after the rebellion of the twin sons. "You," she whispered, her voice breaking slightly, "you carry the royal seal." I turned, startled, my heart hammering. How?" She stepped back, her silver eyes wide with disbelief and awe. It shouldn't exist outside the palace. It's impossible." I tried to laugh, but it came out as a strangled sound. "Believe me, I didn't mean for anyone to see it. I've always hidden it." Her gaze softened, but the intensity didn't fade. "Hidden? Do you know what this means? You're the last heir of Varelia. You should have been raised to rule, to command. How have you survived all this time?" I shook my head. "I don't know. I grew up in the outskirts of Solara 3. My parents, they never told me. I thought I was ordinary like everyone else." She studied me carefully, as if weighing the truth in my words. Then she did something that startled me. She laughed. A soft, incredulous laugh that sounded more like relief than amusement. "So, all this time, I was looking for the heir in the wrong places," she said. "And it turns out you were right under our noses. How ironic." I frowned. "Looking for me?" Her eyes softened, but the edge of urgency was still there. The rebellion of the twin sons left chaos in the royal lines. There were whispers of a surviving heir, but none ever appeared. I've been searching for years, hoping against hope. And now here you are. I felt a wave of panic. Why me? I don't even know how to rule anything. I'm just a merchant son. Her gaze hardened. It doesn't matter. The blood doesn't lie. You were born to lead. And the galaxy is at a tipping point. The factions that once destroyed our line are regrouping, and if the heir remains hidden, they will rise unchecked. You are the key, whether you like it or not." I swallowed hard, trying to process what she was saying. My entire life had been ordinary. Bills, chores, occasional smuggling runs to make ends meet. This had been my reality. And now, in a single moment, it was ripped away. "Listen," she said, her voice dropping to a more intimate tone. "I need you to come with me. If the wrong people find out that you exist, I don't think you'll survive. I can protect you, but only if you trust me." I hesitated. I had never trusted anyone like this, not even my closest friends. But something in her eyes, a mix of vulnerability and command, told me that my choice wasn't really a choice at all. "Okay," I said finally. "I'll come with you." The princess nodded, her expression a mix of relief and determination. "Good. We have little time. The loyalists have been tracking disturbances in the outer colonies. We must move before they realize the heir is alive." We left the market in a sleek hovercraft that seemed too advanced for the bustling trade district. As we flew through the city lights, she explained more about my heritage. "You were born during the final days of the rebellion," she said, her voice steady but tinged with sorrow. "The palace was under siege, and the royal seal was the only way to identify the true heir. Your parents, your mother, she managed to hide you. They thought it would be safer for you to live as a commoner, away from palace intrigues and assassins. I've been searching for you ever since, hoping the legends were true." I listened, incredulous, as the weight of history pressed down on me. I had always thought of myself as a nobody, and now I was the last hope of a dynasty that once ruled millions of worlds. "Why me?" I asked again, more to hear her say it than to question her. She smiled faintly, but her eyes glinted with an unspoken urgency. "Because blood doesn't lie. You carry the seal, the mark of leadership. You are Virelia's rightful heir. And more importantly, I believe you can change the course of this galaxy." I swallowed hard. I don't even know where to start. Her hand rested briefly on mine, a grounding touch. "Then you start by surviving the night. There are forces who would kill you simply for existing. Tomorrow, we will return to the palace. Tonight, we hide, we plan, we prepare." The night was a blur of shadows and whispers. We stayed in an abandoned sector, a place forgotten by even the most desperate scavengers. She trained me in basic combat, taught me to move silently, and instructed me on the factions still loyal to the rebellion. By dawn, I had transformed from an ordinary merchant's son into someone capable of defending himself, and more importantly, someone capable of being the heir I never knew I could be. When we finally reached the palace, it was under a sky streaked with violet and gold. The gates opened before us, as if recognizing the royal seal. I felt a strange warmth against my back, the mark glowing faintly beneath my skin. It pulsed with life, as if acknowledging that the rightful heir had returned. Inside, the princess led me through corridors lined with memories I could not understand, portraits of rulers long gone, tapestries depicting victories and tragedies alike. She brought me to a chamber deep within the palace, a room untouched by time, where a council awaited. "The heir has returned," she announced, her voice resonating through the grand hall. "And the seal confirms it." Murmurs rippled through the council. Faces I had never seen looked at me with awe, fear, and hope all at once. I felt exposed, vulnerable, and utterly human, yet the seal seemed to hum with quiet authority. One elder, a woman with hair as white as starlight, stepped forward. "The stories were true. You carry the seal. The line of Virelia lives again." I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of expectation pressing down on me. The princess stepped closer, her eyes meeting mine. "You may feel ordinary," she said softly, but you are anything but. This seal, it chose you. Now, you must choose whether to accept your destiny." I looked at the seal, feeling its warmth and power. I thought of the streets of Solara 3, my simple life, and the people who had never expected me to be more than ordinary. And then I looked at the princess, standing beside me, her faith in me unwavering. "I accept," I said, my voice steady. "I'll do what must be done." The chamber erupted in cautious applause, but I barely heard it. My world had shifted irreversibly. I was no longer just a boy from the outskirts. I was the last heir of Varelia, and with the princess by my side, I would rise to meet a destiny I never knew existed. She reached for my hand, and I took it, feeling the connection between us, between past and future, between ordinary and extraordinary. The seal on my back pulsed warmly, a quiet affirmation that I had chosen correctly. And in that moment, I realized that being extraordinary wasn't about power or knowledge. It was about courage. The courage to step into the unknown, to embrace a destiny that had been waiting for me long before I knew I existed. The princess smiled at me, her silver eyes glimmering with hope. "Welcome home, heir of Varelia," she whispered. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I truly belonged. The chamber fell silent after my words. For a moment, I felt the weight of every gaze upon me. The council, the palace guards, the princess herself. They were all waiting, expecting me to rise into the role I had never trained for. The seal on my back pulsed faintly, almost like it was urging me forward, whispering that this was my moment. The princess stepped closer, brushing a strand of violet hair from her face. "The galaxy has waited a long time for this. But the road ahead will not be easy. The factions that destroyed our line are still out there. They will try to stop you to stop us." I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. "I know, but I'm not alone." Her hand found mine, and I felt a surge of resolve. The warmth of her touch, the certainty in her eyes, anchored me. I realized that my life as an ordinary boy was over. From now on, every step I took, every decision I made, would shape the fate of worlds. The council elder, the one with the hair of starlight, stepped forward. "Heir of Varelia, the seal is not just a symbol. It grants you the wisdom of your ancestors, the courage of your lineage. With it, you can unite the scattered forces, restore peace, and reclaim what was lost." I took a deep breath, feeling the magnitude of what she said. I remembered the markets of Solara 3, the simple moments of my childhood, the life I thought I had. That life seemed so distant now, replaced by a path I had never imagined, but somehow, deep inside, I knew I was ready. The princess leaned close, her silver eyes glowing with determination. "We start at dawn. First, we reclaim the palace. Then, we gather allies. The rebellion thought the heir was gone. They underestimated you. But together, we can change everything." Outside, the sky blazed with the colors of early morning. I stepped to the balcony and looked out over the city, over the sprawling spires and glimmering hoverways. For the first time, I didn't feel small. I felt part of something greater, part of a lineage that had endured centuries of turmoil, waiting for the moment I would rise. The princess joined me, standing silently at my side. "You were never ordinary," she said quietly, almost to herself. "You just didn't know it yet." I smiled, a mixture of fear, excitement, and determination coursing through me. "Then it's time I find out who I'm meant to be." She squeezed my hand, her voice steady and commanding. "The galaxy is ours to protect. And we start with reclaiming what was taken from our people." As the first rays of sunlight touched the palace towers, the seal on my back glimmered, radiating warmth and light. I felt it resonate deep within me, a living connection to my ancestors, my purpose, and the world I had been chosen to lead. For the first time in my life, I was not just surviving, I was ready to rule. The ordinary life I had known was gone, replaced by a destiny far greater than I could have ever imagined. And beside me, the princess, my guide, my ally, my companion, stood ready to face whatever challenges awaited. Together, we would reclaim the throne, unite the scattered people of Varelia, and ensure that the legacy of the royal line would endure for generations to come. I took a final breath of the crisp morning air, feeling the weight of history on my shoulders, yet knowing that with courage, I could bear it. The galaxy had waited for this moment. And now so had I. "Let's go," the princess said, her hand tightening over mine. "The world is waiting." I nodded, stepping forward with her, ready to embrace my extraordinary destiny. The heir of Varelia had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again.